So today I want to share with you chapter 5 of Rick Hanson's Buddha's Brain, which is entitled Cooling the Fires. Cooling the Fires. When I read that title, being that it's a study of neuroscience and Buddhist teaching, I was immediately taken back to the class I took this summer with Aya Dhammadippa, the Buddhist nun. We were in a class, Approach to Nirvana, and one of the approaches to perfect peace and enlightenment is known as extinguishing the fires. It's a lofty intention to have. And it's valid. It's very valid in ways that we can find to cool our own internal fires when they heat up. And it was nice. This whole chapter is really, really about these practical ways. So earlier when I said, we're a little bit drinking from the fire hose today. I don't mean that in a negative way, but he offered so many tools for doing this. So, but before we get to that, his list of 8, it's nice to understand the biology behind it, right? So the biology behind getting activated in situations. We have nervous systems, we have hormonal systems, we have all these systems in our body. The nervous system and endocrine system, our hormone system, are very, we learned a couple weeks ago, they're very involved when we get fired up, when we're in survival mode. They're also very helpful when we want to thrive, when we want to live, continue our lives. I'll just recap briefly. In order to survive, right? You avoid threats. You want to stay alive. You want this body to stay alive. So you avoid things that would otherwise make the body stop being alive. And then to thrive, you pursue opportunities, and you find food, you find ways to procreate, and this is 6 million years worth of improvement that's been in this manufacturing process. So our nervous system is there for us, right? It's helping us every day. It's helping us as we go out to avoid deadly animals, to avoid deadly plants, to avoid deadly terrain like cliffs and downtown buses, to avoid deadly exposure to weather. And our nervous system is helping us to pursue edible things. In the past, edible animals that we could hunt, or edible roots and berries. Now it would be raspberries or strawberries shipped from Mexico. We are modern humans, so our issues are different now. Our issues are vastly different just in the last 100 or 200 years. We have different issues. So we can still get overheated by real threats. The bus, we have to pay attention to the cars on the street as we're crossing. We have a lot of things to pay attention to. But now we have the capacity, and it's not just available to us, it's really forced on us. Our entire waking days, we get overheated by threats that we have little to no control over. So it's no longer just the direct threats of our direct existence in the forest or on the plains, those very concrete things that we need to worry about. That's less of a problem now. We have a lot of things that we're asked to worry about that we have little or no control over. The war in Ukraine, the mass shootings, the climate. So it behooves us to find ways to cool our fires, right? There's a place for passion. There's a place for standing up for what you believe in. There is a place for getting worked up when it helps you to make the world a better place, right? But when you get overheated repeatedly for things you cannot control, you get stressed, irritated, anxious, depressed. And this chapter is about how to put the fire out in our own house so that we can be of help to ourselves and others. So the human nervous system is a very complex system. We have different components to the human nervous system itself. We have the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, the somatic nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. And these different systems allow us to think, to talk, to learn, to move, to stay balanced. They allow us to engage our five senses and take in information from the world. The one that we talk about a lot in meditation and mindfulness is the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system. And this is it's like the nervous system that we don't really pay a lot of attention to. It's sort of entwined with a lot of our other systems, like it's entwined with our hormonal system. It's entangled with our respiratory system, our immune system, the cardiovascular system, the GI system, this gastrointestinal system. This autonomic nervous system is really kind of it's like the background to all of our other systems. So it's very important for us to understand the autonomic nervous system so that we can strengthen it. We can strengthen ourselves by using the autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system has two parts. All right. There's the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And those are the two branches of the autonomic. The sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system is your gas pedal. The parasympathetic nervous system is your brake pedal. So the sympathetic nervous system is your like fight, flight, or, fight it or get out of town. Like there's danger, go. The parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest system. Calm yourself down. And these two systems are constantly like at work for us as we're moving through the day. So there's times when you need to like hurry up and stress out a little bit. And then there's times when you need to settle down and relax a little bit. And I kind of thought about it as like if you it was summertime and you were 25 and you want to take a road trip from DC to California, right? You'd get in your car and you would go, but you wouldn't just step on the gas and go straight there. You'd stop. The car needs to have gas. You need to cool down the engine. You need to put in coolant or check the oil, whatever it is. You don't want to just step on the gas and go, or the car might end up in the junkyard. And it's the same for our bodies. Right? It's the same for our bodies. We need to have this wisdom to know when it's time to put on the brakes. And this is physically and mentally. Even if you sit in a chair all day, for example. I know a couple of people who are very fond, a couple of my friends who work from home now and are very fond of sitting at their desk and working all day. Even if you're sitting in a chair, the culture we are in demands that we engage. We're nonstop thinking all day long, right? We have newspapers, magazines, television, podcasts, radio, internet, websites, now the smartphone, God help us, it's with us all the time. And as we learned a couple of weeks ago, the mental events that we engage in affect our body in the same manner that physical events do. So if you're feeling threatened because there's someone aggressive on the street, you'll have a physical reaction to that. It's your fight or flight. Your sympathetic nervous system lights up, and you have a lot of stress hormones coursing through your body, adrenaline, etc. Not to the same level, but the same exact system gets involved when you have mental threats. So if you're watching something that feels threatening to you, you have the same physical reaction in your body. Slightly less because it's not directly there, but it's very much the same. And as we learned, we use up our supply. So how do we cool our fires? How do we put the fire out in our own house? Right? You got to put that one out first before you can hope to cook a meal for your next door neighbor. So Rick Hansen offers us the 8 ways to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And as I'm looking at the time, I'm thinking there's really, what I think I'll do is I'll send this to you. And I just want to go over a few. Okay, I want to go over a few, not all 8. And I'll take it and send it as an attachment because it's a really wonderful list. It's very practical techniques that you can use to calm yourself down. The first one I'll share is really simplistic, basic relaxation training. And he offers 3 ways to instantly just quieten your fight or flight response, your stress response. And I'll tell you those 3. The first is, we do this in our meditations. The first is to relax your tongue, your eyes, and your jaw muscles. So try that just right now. Just sitting here, relax your tongue, relax your eyes, and your jaw. Next is invite tension to drain out of your body and sink down into the earth. So again, just sitting here, any tension you might have. Letting it sink down into the earth. And the third is scan your body for areas of tension. Big one is the shoulders. And relax them, release them. So there's just these three alone, very helpful ways to come back to yourself and calm down just a little bit. So relaxing your tongue, your eyes, and your jaw muscles. So focusing in on your face. Maybe it's the space between your brow. or letting the tension drain into the earth, or scanning for tension and releasing. And that's known as relaxation training. So luckily we do that every week here. The next two we do often in class, so diaphragm breathing, right? We put our hand on the abdomen, we move it up and down. That's a wonderful way to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Diaphragm breathing, just following your hand as your abdomen goes up and down. And the other one that we do almost every week without fail, because I love it so much, is the body scan. You scan your body, you turn that attention into your body. Large sections or small sections, head to the foot or the foot to the head. Notice the sensations or just be aware of the different body parts. And Rick Hansen mentions that this is a good way to fall asleep too. So, next thing he mentions is imagery, which is why I threw in a poem that had imagery at the end of our meditation. Imagery is not something I have practiced a lot with, but imagery activates the right side of the brain, the non-verbal portion of the brain. So if you have a lot of verbal chatter, a lot of us have a lot of verbal chatter that can take over the brain. Using imagery, inviting maybe a peaceful mountain scene, walking around a lake, something like that. Maybe that's something we try in future classes, seeing how imagery works. Again, a way to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, activate our brakes, our mental brakes. And then, of course, the two that we spend a lot of time on are mindfulness of the body, mindfulness, or mindfulness practice. This mental activity of bringing your attention into your body, and this is not when you're not focusing on injured areas or areas that have illness in them, but the well portions of the body. This activates a relaxation response in us immediately. And the breath is a big one, right? But we have our 5 senses. We can engage all the 5 senses at any point during the day. We can just be aware of walking, aware of reaching for a cup of tea, being aware of washing the dishes, being aware of how we load our clothing into the laundry machine. Mindfulness of the body. That's a way that we settle down. We unplug from stressful mental activity. And then the last one is meditation. And it's not the last because it's the least, it's the last because it's the most. So having a daily meditation practice. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. The list here is long. There's research, so many different researchers he lists. Increases gray matter in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. I don't know what that actually means, but it sounds good. Reduces cortical thinning. Improves psychological functions, including attention. Increases activation of left frontal regions, which lifts moods. Decreases stress-related cortisol. Strengthens the immune system. Helps with medical conditions including cardiovascular disease, asthma, type 2 diabetes, and chronic pain. And helps with psychological conditions including insomnia, anxiety, phobias, and eating disorders. So a lot of research has been done. We talk about this often, the benefits of meditation. And what he just mentions is that the key to reaping these benefits of meditation is to have a daily meditation practice, no matter how short it is. So even 5 or 10 minutes is enough, but 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, that's wonderful. Even more benefits, obviously, the more it's done. But a daily meditation practice. But I'm always asking for that from you. So that's new news. Anyway, I'm looking at the time, and it's time for us to finish.